everyone. Welcome to the January edition of the Minding Your Business newsletter. My name's Andrew Connors, and I'm a managing director at Fairport Wealth and chair of our business owner practice group. And this is a newsletter we put out every month for business owners and the advisors that serve them. And so what we wanted to talk about today was just to share some insights that we've seen. I always get very reflective at the end of the year and the beginning of the year. And so what I wanted to do was just share some insights kind of in a big picture sense of what we've seen kind of happen in the past couple of years. And coming out of the pandemic, we have seen an increasingly high number of business owners selling their companies. And probably about half of these have been family businesses. And there's a number of reasons behind this. There definitely is a lot of liquidity out in the world these days. Companies have a lot of liquidity, private owners, private equity firms have a lot of liquidity. Also, there's a lot of owner fatigue. The past couple of years, past 3 years, have probably felt like 10 years for a lot of business owners. And so in sharing some of these insights, a resource that we find a great resource is the National Center for the Middle Market. And it's a great thought leadership group that is housed out of Ohio State. And one of the things that they did was a survey around business owner satisfaction around their transactions. And one of the insights that I thought was most interesting that we often see in many of the clients that are referred to us and many of the business owners that we work with. After these transactions take place, there are oftentimes these families and these owners have a real sense of almost regret and anxiety. And so understanding and asking, well, why is this the case? Why do some owners go through these business transactions and come out feeling very differently than other groups? And one of the reasons, frankly, is hindsight. Most business owners, if you're watching this, you probably only sell your business once. It's not something that you go through multiple times. And so hindsight brings with it a level of clarity. Another thing that is often underweighted and really not given enough appreciation towards is that business transactions and business sales are as much about personal and life transitions as they are about business transitions. And so when we think about that, what separates business owners who come out of the other side of a transition of their business and look at the world and look at their own position from a place of gratitude and they're happy versus sometimes owners who feel a sense of regret on the other side. So what we wanted to do in today's newsletter was really share some of these insights from the National Middle Market Study and share some insights that we've seen also. And so one of these, call it one of the first insights we wanted to share was successful owners focus on their business transition or sale as part of a larger plan that is in alignment with their goals. Most business owners, oftentimes these sales, not always, but they can be somewhat reactionary, where a strategic partner or a private equity firm approaches them and it's just a magically high number, hard to say no to, and the next thing you know, the deal train has left and you're on your way to selling your business. But without that, oftentimes business owners haven't really thought about, well, how does this sale or transition align with what my personal goals are? And so what we find is successful owners, the people who are really happy long term, they think about what does success look like personally and what does success look like professionally. And they very much think about what those outcomes that they want to happen are, what their expectations are, and how does that mirror with what is happening potentially with the sale of their business. And oftentimes what we also find is most business owners are so focused on the business transaction, they do very little thinking, again, on the personal side. A typical business sale might take on average about 12 months. If you want to do any personal planning to manage taxes, understand cash flow, maybe think about revamping your estate plan, which is always a great time to do before a business sale. Those types of things need to get done often years or sometimes well in advance of a transition. And we often see those are things that never get addressed, or if they do, they're getting addressed after the fact when a lot of the optimal opportunities have kind of been passed. And so those are called one of those first insights that we think is really important to focus on. A second difference I guess you could say, that we see in business owners that are a little bit more successful with the outcomes and happy with their outcomes than other groups is business owners often approach the sale and transition of their business with a very high level of preparedness on the business front. The attorneys, the accountants have really helped you as owners get in a position to have a successful outcome and a successful transition. As wealth managers, what we often see though is there's a very low level of preparedness around, call it, what the personal financial side of that dynamic looks like. And so when there's a low level of personal financial preparedness, what we are often seeing happening is there is a loss of opportunity for tax savings, both usually pre and sometimes post plannings. So when clients are often referred to us, a lot of times this is happening after they might sell their business, and they're coming to us with questions. How do I pay less taxes on this sale? How far is my money going to go? What should I be thinking about for my estate plan? Those are all great questions. Some of the answers to those questions and some of the most impactful answers to those questions are answered and strategies implemented before a business sale takes place. Because some of these things, and we can go into more detail later, can't be done after a business sale takes place. So understanding legacy planning, tax optimization, when is the appropriate time to set up trusts? What are the appropriate kinds of trusts to set up? And thinking through in a meaningful way how this transition in your business and personal life is going to impact you and, in a larger sense, your family. So that is an important insight, is how do you balance being highly prepared on the business side with also being highly prepared on the personal planning side. That's something that we see is really critical to having, frankly, short, immediate, and long-term success on a personal and business level. The third difference is that we often see also, and that is reflected in this study from the National Center for the Middle Market, is most business owners understand very little, oftentimes, about how far the proceeds they're getting from their business sale are going to go. And I'll give you a perfect example. There was a family that was recently referred to us middle of last year, and they had received a very attractive offer to sell their business to a private equity firm. And so as we're having this conversation with this family, getting to really understand what their current spending needs are, their future spending needs, their charitable goals, understanding how much they might actually net after taxes. Once you start netting all these things out, what they thought was a gross amount of substantial funds, and was substantial, really ended up being not as substantial as they thought once all these other factors got skinnied in. So really understanding what the financial boundaries are like and going into these transactions and transitions with your eyes wide open is huge. And one of the common themes here that we often see is most business owners, when they're involved in transitions, bring in their corporate attorneys, the M&A attorneys, and their accountants, who are invaluable resources to having successful outcomes. 80% of business owners don't involve their wealth managers in what is going to be one of the most meaningful financial and transitions in their business and personal life. And one of the things that is reflected in this study, and that we often see in terms of clients and business owners that come to us, is oftentimes they're not really working with an advisor who understands their family in a deep and meaningful way. They understand a piece here and a part there. And similar to your, call it, net worth or financial landscape, they understand a piece here and a part there. But making sure that your team, which should include your wealth advisor, understands your goals, your family, and your finances, and is able to walk with you on this journey is really critical importance to having what is going to be a meaningful change over your lifetime. And something important to also keep in mind, when you transition your business and you're no longer a CEO, you might not be CEO of that business, but now you're in a different business. Now you're a CEO of a wealth management business, and that's your family's wealth. And you need to learn to understand, what do the dynamics of that role now look like? What are the best practices that I need to grasp? How do I need to be educated so that I can be a good steward of this wealth? How do I manage my team, my family CFO, my financial advisor, my accountant, the group that is going to help me best steward this wealth going forward? So hopefully these are some insights that are a little thought provoking, give you some things to think about and chew on. If we can be a resource in helping you think through some of these decisions, we're always here to be a resource. One of the themes you will see going forward in our Minding Your Business newsletters this year is this theme of life after. What does life after the sale look like? Many of the clients we work with who are business owners look back and reflect years after the sale, how oftentimes their personal life and their goals have all transitioned in ways maybe they would not necessarily have realized. And so those are great, frankly, stories to explore and share. So going forward in the coming months, we're going to share a lot more of these stories and ideas and themes around what does life after the business sale look like. And there'll be personal stories and financial stories in there. Great concepts for you to learn from. The study that we keep referencing here in our video from the National Center for the Middle Market is referenced in the link below in the additional articles. So read that, enjoy it, and then have a great day.